Hello, and welcome to Handled Ish Productivity for the Imperfect, a weekly podcast for those who want to elevate their productivity but are not looking for perfection. I'm your host, Betsy, and I am so happy you're here with me in podcast land or YouTube or on the KC24 CBS 47 Plus app that you can download from your smart TV and also on CMAC, Community Media Access Collaborative, CMAC.tv. So grateful for everyone who carries the podcast. So today is episode 114. Resilience begins before. So I'm super excited. In about an hour, I'm going to be giving a talk called Handle Dish, Handle Dish, Getting Through What You Didn't See Coming. And it's going to be a talk about resilience and all the things. And I'm very, very much looking forward to it. And as I was finishing putting the talk together last night, I thought, you know what? I think the idea of resilience is a really good one to talk about on the podcast because when we are more resilient, obviously we can be more productive. So I kind of want to start the conversation today and then obviously, move forward in the weeks ahead. So, first thing I want to talk about is this idea that resilience starts before, meaning resilience starts before anything happens that you need to be resilient about. And here's what I mean by that. So, our ability to be resilient is, again, my opinion from my own experience and the experience of people that I know and love. Um, our capacity to deal with a curveball, something that we didn't see coming, getting the rug pulled out from under us, whatever metaphor you want to use, I believe is directly correlated to what our capacity is when that particular thing happens. So, what I'd like you to think about this week is at the moment, what is your current capacity for something going wrong? And obviously, you've heard this before. I want your days to be full of sunshine and rainbows and everything going perfectly and nothing going wrong. Okay, that is what I want. That is what I am putting in the universe for all of us. And I also live in the world and I'm aware that the world is both amazing and sucky, right? We have great things and not so great things, and that is just the way this life has been designed. So things are going to go wrong. So, what is your capacity right now for something going wrong? And that probably will cause you to pause and think a little bit. Often we are organizing our lives, so our capacity window is pretty narrow, right? For the something going wrong. We tend to have pretty tight margins, right? That can be our schedule, right? Things we go from da 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 with no wiggle room in between. That could have to do with our physical capacity, right? We don't get enough sleep, we're not taking care of ourselves, and so our physical capacity is limited. So it could be schedule capacity, it could be physical capacity, it could be emotional capacity, right? If you've ever said, I'm at my wit's end, I cannot deal with one more thing, a lot of times that's emotional capacity. And so I want you to think about all of that, right? What is your schedule capacity, emotional capacity, physical capacity, spiritual capacity, health related capacity? Where are you at as far as reserves? Where are you at as far as resources? Because when something bad happens, if we have capacity in one or more, or preferably all of those areas, we are able to be more resilient more quickly. And so before anything goes wrong, I want you to think this week about expanding that capacity a little bit. How could you expand your schedule capacity? And a little bit more on that. That's when, if anything goes wrong in your schedule, the whole day blows up, right? Things are scheduled so tightly that if one thing is a little bit long, everything is late you are late for the whole rest of the day. Now, I can understand that sometimes we do not have control and we have to have those kind of days. But if we're really honest, we do not have to have those kind of days every day yet. A lot of us do. And so, how can you have schedule capacity? How can you get some wiggle room, some margin in there where you can have something go wrong and it won't completely, catapult the whole day into oblivion of badness, right? Anyway, weird phrase, but that's okay. How can you expand your physical capacity, right? Is it, that you need to get more sleep? Is it that you need to eat more nourishing food? Is it that you need to move your body more? What are the things that can increase your physical capacity? Because regardless of what lane the something going wrong is, it does take physical energy to be resilient. So even if we're not digging a ditch or doing a marathon or climbing Mount Everest, it does take physical energy to be resilient. And so we want to have some reserves there. How can you build capacity with the reserves of your emotional energy? Are you filling your own cup? And I do love that phrase. What are the things that you should be doing more regularly, daily, preferably, if it's a cup filling thing? Big fan of that. That can help you be able to be resilient when the opportunity comes. So maybe it's a little more time for yourself. Maybe it's more breathing. Maybe it's less social media. Maybe it is less incessantly checking email. Maybe it is a cup of tea when you get home just to kind of decompress. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's reading. Maybe it is sitting out on the porch. Maybe it's playing with your cat or your dog or your grandchildren or your children, or having a conversation with a friend on the phone, or better yet, in person, right? And video call is even better than phone, right? So in person, video call, phone, text, right? The de-escalating um, uh, continuum of better interactions, right? Best is in person, Zoom is next, phone is next, and then text obviously is last. Not to say that text or phone is bad, it's certainly better than nothing, but the more we can have those face-to-face interactions, the better they are for nurturing us and filling our cup. So that's what I want you to think about this week. What is your capacity right now for something going wrong? And how can we build more capacity for you? So when you have the opportunity to be resilient, you're able to be resilient and you're able to be resilient more quickly. I'm going to talk about resilience a little bit more on upcoming podcasts, but that's a good starting point, I think. And I feel really good about having us all think about that a lot this week, if possible, in the nooks and crannies, because I know have a lot going on, which is lovely. I want that for you as well. So that's the scoop. Please rate, review, and recommend the podcast. The 3 R's, so helpful. And have the best week until I see you again. And take care. Remember, you are doing way better than you think you are. Trust me.